Hey, happy Monday and welcome to another episode of Mindful Moments with Ben, your one-stop shop for daily topics, trends, national and world news, chit-chats and all that. We cover it all here. Excuse me. It's been a minute since I came on here. I've been going through some things in my life, school, work, a whole lot's been going on. We've also been working on a new segment that's going to be entitled The Divine Divide. Give you a little more information about that later. But at any rate, man, I hope everybody's holiday was just fine this past weekend. And I hope you're doing well. Doing well meaning doing the work. It means effort. You got to put in some type of effort, especially nowadays, you know what I'm saying? And overall, you got to practice within the realms of self-accountability versus seeking countless stipends for victimhood and deflection of the consequences of unforced choices in your life. But that's another story. Let's get right into it. So we got the vice mayor of, hope I'm pronouncing this right, Cuhdy, California, calling out for gang assistance and support in light of the ICE deportations that have been going on out there in the the Golden State. Sorry for that. But since making a statement, she's of course faced a lot of backlash, and yeah, believe me, she copped a plea real quick when that fire got a little hot, you know what I'm saying? The Supreme Court, definitely a name we've been hearing a lot, probably way too much lately. But recently they ruled that parents can have a lot more say-so in their kids' life, meaning they've ruled that parents can exclude their children from participating in what a lot of people view as controversial reading material within the schools. Advocates and parents alike are applauding this ruling because they feel as though it's giving them more control over exactly what it is their kids being exposed to in these schools, you know what I'm saying? Have you guys heard the name Sade Perkins been floated around? If not, I'm gonna definitely put you on game. Sade Perkins of Houston, Texas. I'm talking totally despicable. Very disgusting comments she made over the weekend. Very disgusting, I should say. And we're gonna add that and a whole lot more when we return.
We all know what happened last night.
As usual, you know we're gonna open up with a mindful moment of the week, but I'm gonna tell you something. This right here may be the mindful moment of the year. My man DJT, he just wasn't having it.
I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Hey, look, you say what you want to about that man, but I'm gonna tell you what, he don't give two flying fucks, man. And sometimes that shit is needed, I ain't gonna lie. But moving right along, we got the California vice mayor of Cuhdy, California. Recently, she made some very controversial statements in reference to the ICE deportations that's going on out there in LA. And she called upon some gang members, like, where y'all at? You know, I don't see y'all saying anything. Where y'all at? You know, let's pull this up real fast. ICE reacts to Cuhdy vice mayor's disgusting comments, calling on chulos to defend the streets. Where all the chulos at? What we know. I want to know where all the chulos are in Los Angeles, 18th Street, Florencia. Where's the leadership at? Now that your hood being invaded by the biggest gang there is, there ain't a peep out of you. Don't be trying to claim no block, no nothing. If you're not showing up right now trying to help out and organize, then don't show up. Don't be trying to claim no block, no nothing, Gonzalez said. If you're not showing up right now trying to help out and organize, I don't want to hear a peep out of you once they're gone. Well, let me ask you something. When have you ever did anything that was in the best interest of these gang members you asking about? I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know, but I would be willing to bet you were not a big advocate of let's leave these dudes alone. And let's face it, you're trying to get these guys to get involved in a law enforcement operation. As much as you think you helping, that's the stupidest shit I ever heard in my life. Only thing you're doing is putting them guys in harm's way. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me, you know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, let's just run the video. I'm gonna show you exactly what it is she said.
For nothing, but I want to know where all the cholos are at in Los Angeles. 18th Street, Florencia. Where's the leadership at? Because you guys are all about territory, and this is 18th Street, and this is Florencia. You guys tag everything up, claiming hood. And now that your hood's being invaded by the biggest gang there is, there ain't a peep out of you. It's everyone else who's not about the gang life that's out there protesting and speaking up. We're out there like fighting our turf, protecting our turf, protecting our people. And like, where you at? Bien calladitos, todos los chulitos. I'm like, dude, they're running amok all up in on your streets and in your city. And Pete, when the big gang guns come in, nothing but like quiet, and we're out here, the regular ones that have never been jumped in, out here calling things out trying to organize people, trying to do the thing. So don't be trying to claim no block, no nothing. If you're not showing up right now, trying to like help out and organize, I don't want to hear a peep out of you once they're gone, trying to claim that this is my block. This was not your block. You weren't even here helping out. So whoever's the leadership over there, just fucking get your members in order.
Now let's be real. And let's be real clear about some shit. People in positions of civil service, whether it's government employees, public officials, anybody that's taking taxpayer money as far as the means for them getting paid, cannot and should not be out here advocating and promoting organizational, or I should say soliciting gang member support. You know what I'm saying? That's crossing an ethical line. And, civil servants are supposed to serve the public, not push agendas. We got a lot of that going on. You're supposed to serve the public. You're not supposed to be out here pushing agendas. And once you start mixing your official role with campaigning your own personal feelings, you know what I'm saying? Only thing you're doing is you're betraying the very trust of the taxpayers that put you in a position to stay neutral and do your job fairly. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, public service is about representing everybody, not just the people who belong to your chosen group. And in the midst of all this deportation stuff, you've had people going around burning American flags in the streets. And let me tell you something, I'm a veteran, everybody know our story, our main African Americans over here. And you can say what you want to, you know what I'm saying? Don't wrap me up, but this is my country, this is my land, this is my home. You know what I'm saying? I was born and raised here, and the economic state of this country was built on the backs, the blood, sweat, and tears, and in a lot of cases, the deaths of my people. But never ever will I go out here and talk shit about the United States of America, because I've been places in the world, and the things you're afforded over here, whether you like it or not, you will in no shape, form, or fashion enjoy that same privilege in a lot of places around the world. Let's pull up this clip here. Over the past week, a sea of green, white, and red Mexican flags have become a fixture of the Los Angeles protests against immigration. The use of the Mexican and Latin American flags on the protests are a form of symbolism many conservatives are calling anti-American, while others argue their expression of pride in one's homeland that could not be more American. Some Latino activists say the Mexican flag is being used by people who were in this land before it was a part of the United States. California was a part of Mexico into the 1800s, and many Mexican Americans are descendants of people who never crossed the border. Instead, the border crossed them. Now, they have a great point there, you know what I'm saying? But let's keep it real. We can say the same thing about the invasion of Spain and Mexico. And as a matter of fact, the use of the national symbols such as coat of arms, anthems, and national flags in Mexico is protected by law. In Mexico, the desecration of the American flag, of the national flag and coat of arms is a crime punishable by 6 months to 4 years in prison, or fined of 50 to 3,000 pesos. Now, there was a case back in 2008 where a federal judge did convict an individual for desecrating the flag in a poem. The ministry sought this dude, I don't know if it was a dude or a woman, but the ministry was seeking 4 years in jail, but the judge issued him a small fine and a public warning. But needless to say, the desecration of the flag is a crime punishable by law in Mexico, and I mean, as far as doing that over here, we talking about a country where you can do that without the government dragging your ass away in the middle of the night. That freedom alone is something billions of people around the world would give anything to have. You know what I'm saying? And it's wild because some of the people, same people that's burning the flag, they left places where they couldn't speak out, they couldn't vote, couldn't criticize the government without risking their lives. So I think it's a real stupid fucking gesture. I understand why they're doing it at the same time, but let's just keep it real. You got that privilege here, and the first thing you want to do is disrespect the symbol of the place that's making that shit possible. Now, is this place perfect? By all means, no. But you point to one perfect society or one perfect country in this world, and I give you $1 million. But see, there's a difference between pushing for change and burning the very symbol that protects your right to push back in the first place. So instead of burning it, maybe we should celebrate it. Celebrate the fact that we can protest it. You know what I'm saying? And let's throw a little caveat in there, by the way. On June 21st, 1989, a deeply divided Supreme Court back in 1989 upheld the rights of protesters to burn the flag. They called it a promotion of someone's First Amendment rights. So you can very well burn your American flag here, but you can't take nobody else's and burn it. So, I mean, I'm just saying, it is what it is. But we'll have a little bit more when we return. Yeah, welcome back. While we're on the subject of these deportations and ICE going on, I ran across this little video right here. It was a gentleman by the name of, forget his name, but it's a TikTok video. I ran across that, but let's just go ahead and run a video and bring some light to what this gentleman was saying.
My Jamaican and Caribbean family, have you ever heard about third country deportation? Well, listen carefully, because on June 23rd, the U.S. Supreme Court handed down a critical ruling in the case of the Department of Homeland Security versus DVD, a case involving a Jamaican man identified only by his initials who was facing deportation from the U.S. This case has now set a precedent that allows the U.S. government to deport individuals to third countries, places they've never lived in, without prior notice or a full court hearing. The legal basis for this decision lies in Section 1231 of U.S. immigration law. It states that if deporting someone back to their home country isn't possible or practical, the government can remove them to another country that will accept them. The Supreme Court ruling means that this can now happen swiftly without giving the person time to explain if they face danger, persecution, or torture in that third country. This ruling came through what's called the shadow docket. It's an emergency decision or process with no full trial or detailed written opinion. It reversed a lower court ruling that had tried to block these fast-track deportation, and Justice Sonia Sotomayor and others strongly oppose this move. They warned that this will bypass due process and put human lives at risk. So to every Jamaican and Caribbean national living abroad, take this as a warning. This is not the time to take chances with your immigration status. Don't be reckless. Don't go out there acting the fool. Respect the laws of the US and make sure that you keep your records in order. And one more thing, move wisely, because the system is changing very fast, and no more than ever, we have to move very smart, stay within the law, and protect ourselves and our families.
Now I'm gonna just keep it real with you for a second. You know what I'm saying? As far as deportations and everybody's hate for Donald Trump, I'm in no way sitting up here advocating for Donald Trump, but I will speak my mind and keep it real, you know what I'm saying, and speak upon truths of situations. Barack Obama is the US president with the most removals of non-citizens in the United States history. Yeah, let's check this out. Total deportations under the Obama administration, formally removed over 3 million non-citizens. Peak year, fiscal year was 2012. He deported over 407,000. Focus on formal removals. While the Clinton and Bush administration also had significant numbers of returns, Obama's administration focused more on formal removals. Now, the thing about formal and non-formal removals, you can look over here to the right. Formal deportation, removal. Informal removal is voluntary departure. Formal deportations are ordered by immigration's judge. Informal are not. Legal status, formal under of removal is on record. If you get informally removed, there's no formal removal on your record. Future reentry faces an automatic reentry ban of typically 5 to 10 years or permanent. That's if you get formally removed. Whereas informally removed, you may face barriers to reentry, but although not guaranteed. So in essence, he's actually doing a lot of people a favor, because if you self-depart or they remove you informally, then you can still come back over here and try again the very next day. Whereas under the Obama administration, where they were formally removed, you're looking at 5 to 10 years where your ass can't come back over here, period. So, I'm not saying either's great, but I mean, if you talk about in a world where you got to scheme and do what you got to do, I think being informally removed is a better solution for you. I'm just saying. But you know what? With all that being said, let me just talk about something. It's something we don't talk about enough, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not just talking about how Obama deported more people in American history. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about people's hatred for Trump. Yeah, it has them so emotionally invested that they overlook when their side does the very same shit now, or even worse. And I mean, it's like facts that don't matter if you already picked your hero or your villain. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is out here. You're overlooking the facts, you know what I'm saying? Because when you break it down, let's just keep it real. I'm gonna be real with you. The Democratic Party hasn't exactly been a savior for black communities or Hispanic communities either. And that's economically, socially, I mean, you name it. We left in struggling neighborhoods out here. The schools are underfunded, you know, mass incarceration. And these are many policies that came underneath Democratic rule. And there are a lot of situations that still are being, it's the situation that's in a lot of these quote unquote blue states. You know what I'm saying? And so black folks and Hispanic folks haven't really been great under the Democratic rule either. You know what I'm saying? And yet so many of y'all keep pledging your loyalty without demanding some real accountability. That's the problem out here. You know, and let's just start practicing facts over feelings. And I'm not saying that the Republican Party is much better. That's not what I'm saying either. I mean, this ideology, this two-party ideology, and the fact that a lot of us are just leaning towards that side as if life has been super great underneath that rule too. You know, it's time you look in the mirror and face the fucking facts. That's what I'm saying. I mean, we gotta stop letting hate for one man. You gotta stop letting hate for one man blind you to what both parties have been doing. And if you really care about progress, then you'll stop ignoring the receipts that's coming off your side. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? We have a little bit more when we return. Head on over to CuriousSoulStudios.com and pick yourself up a copy of the Seeker's Manual Journal. Each season brings unique energy and challenges along with the wisdom and strengths of the zodiacs, harnessing a balancing and fulfilling season. That's CuriousSoulStudios.com as well as Amazon.com. And while you're at it, pick yourself up a copy of the Book of Ben, Unveiling Subconscious Wisdom and Conscious Reality. Amazon.com or CuriousSoulStudios.com. The Supreme Court recently ruled against the LGBTQ plus community on something that was very near and dear to their heart. You know what I'm saying? That's this material that they're exposing these young kids to in the schools. Let's take a look. Authors blast harmful SCOTUS ruling, allowing parents to opt kids out of reading their LGBTQ plus books. Excuse me. LGBTQ plus book creators claim the ruling allowing religious opt-outs creates a hostile climate for certain diverse students and families. It also goes on to say, Friday's Supreme Court ruling blasted the decision as discriminatory. Authors and illustrators of the controversial LGBTQ children's books at the center of Friday's Supreme Court ruling blasted the decision as discriminatory and harmful in a joint statement. The justices decided 63 in Mahmoud versus Taylor that parents can exclude their children from a Maryland public school system lessons that concern things about homosexuality and transgenderism if they feel the material conflicts with their religious faith. Now, the parents who brought this suit span the range of religious backgrounds from Muslims and Christians and various other different denominations. They also said the Supreme Court ruling today threatens students' access to diverse books and undermine teachers' efforts to create safe and inclusive classrooms. To treat children's books about LGBTQ plus characters differently than similar books about non-LGBTQ characters is discriminatory and harmful. This decision will inevitably lead to an increasingly hostile climate for LGBTQ students and families and create less welcoming environments for all. Now, I totally agree with what the Supreme Court is saying. And I'm going to tell you why. Because these aren't high schoolers we're talking about. Hell, these aren't even middle school kids we're talking about. We're talking about elementary school kids. Now, you call me old school if you want, but we weren't discussing anything about sexuality at all when I was in elementary school. In fact, I was reminiscing earlier and I was thinking, I used to read a book, it was called One to Grow On, and I found it. Actually, I found it, and let me tell you, I pulled it up. And this book, One to Grow On, it was published in '76, and some of the things it talked about were Unit 1, Like You or Me, Freckles, The Heel of My Thumb, Pat School Picture, Lucy Smile, The Magic in 7, Dr. Penny, People You Know, Using a Map, The School Fair, A Balloon That Works, etc. You kind of get where I'm going with this, you know. Matter of fact, I took the time to investigate a couple of these books, you know what I'm saying, just to see what was going on, and this is what I found. Here's one right here. What Are Your Words? A book about pronouns. It's hardcover, Amazon. Now, when I look down, I see the ages are from ages 3 to 8. Whenever Ari's uncle Leo comes to visit, they ask Ari one question: what are your words? Some days Ari uses she or her. Other days Ari uses he or him. But on the day of the neighborhood's big summer bash, Ari doesn't know what words to use. Now let me ask you something. 3 to 8 years old. Aren't there more important things to be worried about than that right there? I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. You know, here's another one. Jacob's roam to choose. Jacob's story. Also, what's this? I don't see the A's here, but The beloved character Jacob's New Dress, which is the American Library Association's top 100 banned books of the last decade, is back in an encouraging story about gender expression. When Jacob goes to the bathroom, the boys' bathroom, he's chased out. His classmate Sophie has a similar experience when she tries to go to the girls' bathroom. When the teacher finds out what happened, Jacob and Sophie, with the support of the administration, lead change to the school as everyone discovers many forms of gender expression and how to treat people with respect. Listen, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm not exactly sure why this is important to be teaching to elementary school students. Like, to reinforce those values, sure. When something like that happens, yeah, absolutely, because you shouldn't be discriminating against anybody, no matter what they're going through. You know, and there can be a side conversation let up, not with just the teacher, but it can be expressed to the parents, and the parents can deal with it how they see fit. But to have an actual book that you're reading, that's called indoctrination. That's not a lesson in life. That's called indoctrination. And that's where I don't agree with that. This is where I don't agree with that with. But hey, again, maybe I'm wrong. We have a little bit more when we return. As promised, we're gonna round this out with Miss Sade Perkins. Now, Miss Sade Perkins is a, matter of fact, let's go to the clip. Former Houston mayoral appointee raises at flooded Texas girl camp for being white only. Now, Miss Sade Perkins lives down in Houston, Texas, and she's raising about the white-only camp. She's speaking about, you know, the recent floods down there in Hunt, Curryville, Texas, that claimed the lives of many young girls down there, many individuals in general, with the flooding. She was raising about that. Now, we got loss of life and so much tragedy going on in that area, but the only thing you can think about is the fact that it's an all-white camp, so she's claiming. Fucking despicable. Let's just, you know what, matter of fact, let's run this clip about what she was actually saying.
But Camp Mystic is a whites-only girls' Christian camp. They don't even have a token Asian. They don't have a token black person. It is a all-white, white-only, conservative Christian camp. If you ain't white, you ain't right, you ain't getting in, you ain't going, period. And I think that context needs to be said in this matter. It's not to say that we don't want the girls to be found, whatever girls that are missing or whatever right now, but you best believe, especially in today's political climate, if this were a group of Hispanic girls, especially with them being in East Texas, it should be most likely Hispanic. If this were a group of Hispanic girls out there, this would not be getting this type of coverage that they're getting. No one would give a fuck. And all these white people, the parents of these little girls, would be saying things like they need to be deported, they shouldn't have been here in the first place, and yada, yada, yada. So before y'all come at me, before y'all start leaving hate comments on my page about, oh, these are just kids and they don't know no better, da, 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 the parents of these children who are choosing, and it is a choice in 2025, it is definitely a freaking choice to go into East goddamn Texas and to make a all-white enclave, exclusionary just for white people, with all the black people in East Texas, with all the Hispanic people in East Texas. Somehow, some way, you have carved out an all-white, whites-only enclave in East Texas for your white children. Yeah, I have a problem with that. I have a big problem with that. Once again, this is no shade to the girls. I hope they all get found. But once again, y'all have to understand the climate that we're living in. They want you to have sympathy for these people. They want you to get out of your bed and to come out of your home and to go find these people and to donate your money to go find these people. Meanwhile, they are deporting your family members. Meanwhile, they're setting up concentration camps and prisons for your family members. And I need y'all to keep that in mind before y'all get out there and put on your rain boots and go find these little girls.
Now, not for nothing, I think it's kind of funny that she's raising about this being an all-white camp. Now, don't quote me on this, but it's been word out there from a lot of people online commenting on her videos that have been now taken down. And actually, she also set her settings on her TikTok and her Instagram accounts to private, so you can't even go up on it anymore. You know what I'm saying? So you're talking all this shit, but then you go into hiding. Now, again, don't quote me on this, but it's funny you talking about white this and white that, but allegedly, this is her boyfriend. This is her boyfriend here, Reverend Dr. Colin Boston, senior minister, an award-winning preacher, scholar, and social justice organizer. He has served the congregation since 2018 when he arrived in August as interim senior minister. Since August 2020, he has served the congregation's developmental senior minister through September 25. He was called by the congregation to be the settled minister in June 24. From February 22nd to January 23rd, he was Community Stories Fellow with the Crosswords Project, affiliated with Princeton University's Center for Culture, Society, and Religion. Prior to that, from 2018 to 2020, he was an African American Religious Studies Forum affiliate with Rice University's Center for Engaged Research and Collaborative Learning. Now, again, I don't know if it's her boyfriend or not. You know, maybe they just broke up recently. I mean, hopefully, because here you got it. First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston. This is the church she's a member of, allegedly. And that's her boyfriend, who's a senior member of this place. Now, you're talking all this smack about white this and white that and sounding real racist out the mouth, making the whole culture look bad. But let's just read up on this Universalist Church of Houston. Located in the Museum District, has been a beacon of liberal religion since 1914 and the most populous city in the southern United States. We're a member of the congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Our congregation is affiliated with other Unitarian Universalist churches around Greater Houston and the world. As people focused on creating what Dr. King called the beloved community, we offer skills, talent, and experience to build a more loving, just, and peaceful world together. While aligned in our desire to make a difference for the good, we are diverse in faith, ethnicity, ethnicity, history and spirituality, as well as gender identity and sexual orientation. We encourage members to nurture their spiritual lives with intentionality and pursue the beliefs that most resonate with each of them. We encourage members to think for themselves and ask the difficult questions we know we need not think. Now, if every one of your members of this church has this mindset of Ms. Perkins, I don't think you should be telling them they need to think for themselves, because obviously they got a huge problem doing that. Huge problem. The comments that this young lady said were despicable. They were despicable. And it was a lot of other, a lot of other videos online that you can see in which she was stating some other things. She actually came out later on with a post that said, "Oh, y'all called the news on me." You know, it was just totally fucking despicable. And I don't condone it, and I don't think the majority of people around the world condone, especially from the black community, condones what the words that came out of this young lady's mouth. Again, it was totally fucking despicable, you know. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap. And once again, we're grateful for your support and for tuning in, because without you, there is no us. Believe that. I want to thank Curious Soul Studios for making this happen. Be sure to check them out at www.curioussoulstudios.com and feel free to explore their beautiful website. It's complete with wellness resources ranging from a wonderful blog that's definitely worth checking, life coaching and Reiki services, and consultations, and a whole lot more. They also have a holistic nutritional regimen in the works, as well as meditation tips and techniques, and a host of other valuable life transformational wealth. It's also home to the debut author work, my debut author work, the Book of Ben, Unveiling Subconscious Wisdom and Conscious Reality. You need to go check it out at www.curioussoulstudios.com or over at amazon.com. Grab yourself a copy of that ASAP. Also, special shout outs to X and Y Human Brand and J Xavier Culture, for always keeping us fresh. You know how they do. You can check them out at all social media platforms at jxavier_culture and at X and Y Human Brand, all one word, on social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, as well as Facebook. So support small businesses, y'all. Also like to shout out Spotify and Wondershit Software Company for providing the tools and platform for making this happen each and every time we come on air, you know what I'm saying? And we can't forget about the hard-working folks over at Last Night Entertainment for always putting together a magnificent show and making all the magic come together. Hey, listen here. Sometimes the greatest gift that God can give us is not just sight, it's vision. It's the power to look past the noise and past the lies and see the truth of what it really is, man. We live in a world full of distractions and deceptions, but our emotional intelligence is what keeps us steady, and it allows us to step back, breathe, and respond with wisdom instead of rage. There's too much of that going on nowadays. We all out here responding with rage and not with wisdom. So today, let's pray for clear eyes and calm our hearts so that we not just see what's around us, but we can understand it and rise above the nonsense that's trying to pull us all down. There's a lot of folks out here, they don't want a real conversation. They don't want a real conversation. The only thing they want to do is point fingers and, they want to debate. They show up not to listen, they just push an agenda. Not to learn, but to win. And the world has always had people like that. And it's easier to pick one person to hate. It's easy to pick one person to blame all the world problems on, but that doesn't take courage. But what does take courage is stepping back and asking, what part did we play? What truths have I ignored? Because they came from somebody that, we didn't like. What policies and beliefs have we blindly supported because they just made us feel comfortable? It's cowardly to demonize one person. So if you never had to face the bigger, messier truth, you need to, because it's powerful. It's very powerful, and it takes humility to admit when something you believe didn't cause the harm, and to do the work necessary to fix that. Dialogue is about growth, and debate is about ego, so let's choose growth. Let's choose humility, and let's open our hearts and see the real change that doesn't come from shouting louder, but it comes from seeing clear, even when the truth challenges what we once held dear. I'm Ben Hendricks. Appreciate you for tuning in. We see you next time.
We all know what happened last night.